Having a victim mindset is so damaging. And I want to talk to you guys about another chapter from the book, Think This, Not That by Dr. Josh Axe. And in the fifth chapter, the mind shift he encourages us to have is to rewrite our role in our story. And there's four type of roles that one could have in their story. They can choose to be a victim, they can choose to be a villain, they could choose to be a hero or a guide. And I just want to walk through these four different roles that Dr. Josh Axe talks about and why the first two roles specifically are so damaging to your flourishing, to your opportunity to grow as a person. So the first one is the victim mentality. And we've seen this a lot over the years, right? And Dr. Josh Axe does a good job, differentiating between an actual victim of an injustice versus someone who's living in perpetual victimhood. One's a one-time offense, one is a state of mind. And unfortunately, a lot of people adopt a state of mind where I am the victim, I am helpless, there's nothing I can do to overcome my situationness. And then they expect people to treat them like a victim, like feel sorry for me, help me out. If you were in my shoes, you would feel a lot differently, right? And the term that's used is learned helplessness. And this is a theory this is a theory presented by psychologist Martin Seligman. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but where you learn a perpetual state of helplessness, to where you're not able to pull up your bootstraps and take responsibility for your life. And there's a couple indications if someone is playing the victim that Josh Axe talks about in his book, and I want to go ahead and read them to you. It says, when someone plays the victim, they are free from accepting responsibility. How they feel or where they are in life is everyone else's fault, after all. They enjoy the intention, sympathy, and pity of others. The victims probably get what they want because people feel sorry for them. Victims get the right to complain and feel entitled to get what they want. Victims, their relationships are focused on them, their needs, pains, desires, and wants, and they are involved in much drama that leads nowhere. So if any of these characteristics resonated with you, watch out. You might have a victim mindset. And I know I'm personally guilty of having a victim mindset, right? Even in my own marriage, right? If my wife's watching, right? I want my mom, Emma, my wife, to feel sorry for me when I'm going through something. And empathy and sympathy is real things that we desire, but if we just crave it so much and we're constantly desiring the pity and sympathy of other people, we need to take personal inventory and see if we have a victim mindset. And the chief thing that helps us get out of a victim mindset is to take responsibility where we can take responsibility. Obviously, we can't control all of our circumstances, but a lot of things that happen to you are entirely in your control. And even the things that aren't in your control, your perspective and attitude is in your control. So you can choose to be an overcomer, not a victim. This leads us to the second role that we can have in our story, and that is the villain. The villain is, when you go from victim to, I'm just going to be the bad guy in my story and everyone else's story. There's less villains than victims, thank goodness, in this world. But villains, the classic example, I was a high school teacher for a while, is the kid that's super disruptive and has just, taken that title for himself. That he has made it his identity to be disruptive, rebellious, annoying, and a disturbance to the class, right? We see this in the classroom as educators, but we also see it in real life where people are just a menace by their own choosing, right? And they are choosing to stay in this perpetual state of annoyance towards everyone else. So that's the second role that one could have on their journey. The third role is the role that we should be aspiring to, and that's to have a hero's mindset, right? To see where that we can take responsibility, right? The first trait of a hero, according to Josh Axe, is accepting responsibility and acting accordingly. And I've already touched a little bit on that. And he says a second trait of a hero is the willingness to risk their life to help others and sacrifice for the greatest good. This is where we move from self-centeredness to other-centeredness, if that's a word. Heroes don't just look out for themselves. How can people feel bad for me? How can people meet my needs and my wants? Instead, it's not about me. It's about how can I help other people? And it's amazing when you start to help other people, you realize it actually helps yourself a lot more, right? But those who are more narcissistic and egotistic are constantly in a state of victimhood. And then the last role you can have, and actually the hero role and this other role can go together, and it's the guide role. So once you become a hero in your own story, you reject the idea of passivity and you take up responsibility. As you get experience, you now have something that you can share with other soon to be heroes, right? A mentor, a guide helps someone who's in a victim state and helps them get out of that perpetual victimhood and transform to a hero, right? I know I have people in my life, mentors, guides that have helped me overcome things. Specifically, I think of my dad, who taught me back in middle school to reject passivity and to accept responsibility. Right then and there, he was teaching me not to have a victim mindset. So for you, if you've become a hero and you're striving to stay as a hero, how about you go ahead and guide other people? So those are the four stages, right? You can be a victim, a villain, a hero, or guide. And the choice is up to you. The biggest thing is to make the mind shift and own the role in your story. See that you can change who you are. If you are struggling with being a victim or a villain, you can change today. There is redemption. That's the gospel right there. The good news of Christ changing you. So I encourage you, become a hero and guide today.